Well, good morning and welcome into Market Day Report. I am Scott Shelby, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thank you very much for tuning us in. We'd like to have you tune us in everywhere, right? We want to be in the background of the shop, the garage, the barn, the office, wherever it may be. We like to be with us. Let's take a look and see what we did overnight. That's what we're going to do first here. We're going to see these prices. I've got corn pulled up for us. Corn's down 4.5 cents in July, 445.5, and that's closer to the low than the high, obviously. So we've got about I'm going to call that a 5.25 cent range overnight, and we're at the low end of it by about 3 ticks. So kind of trading a little bit heavy there. Dees, the new crop, that's down 5.5 cents to 464.75, and that's just a half cent off the low there. And we're working on about a 5.75 cent range as well. So corn off anywhere between 4.5 to 6 cents across the board. If we move on over to see what's going on in the Chicago soybean market, man, the soybean pit used to be right next door to the corn pit. This one's taking it on the chin here, folks. July's down 15.5 cents overnight to 1164.25. That's about 1.75 cents off the low of the day, and we've had about a 17 cent range, 16.5 cent range. That's July. Going to the new crop, no, that's down 13 cents. 1136.75 is last there, and that's a penny and a half off the low of the day there, and we're working on about a 14.5 cent range. So that's what's happening in the beans. If we move over from the beans to the wheat, we go to the Chicago wheat market. That's off as well, 15.75 cents lower there to July. 5.97's last, 4 cents off the low of the day, and I'm going to call that about 13.25 cents off the high. Dees, that's down 13.5 cents. 636.75 is last there, a full 3.25 cents off the low of the day there. And then we're working on about a 15 cent range. That's Chicago wheat. From Chicago, we move over to Kansas City. That'll be the hard red. Let's see what that's doing. 15.25 cents lower there. That's July. 612.25 is last, 2.25 cents off the low of the day. And again, we're working on about a 16.5 cent range there. And we're 2.25 cents off the low of it. Dees, that's down 13.75 cents to 641. That's 1.75 cents off the low of the day. And again, we're working on a little bit of a range. I'm going to call that about 14 cents, just under. All right. So that's hard red in Kansas City. If we go from Kansas City to Minneapolis, we'll take a look at the spring wheat. That's not as bad, but still we're lower, double digits in the deferreds. A 9 cent lower board in July, 646.5 is last 2 cents off the low of the day. And again, we're working on about a 10.5 cent range there. Dees is down 10.75 cents to 674.25, 1 tick off the low of the day there, and then we've got a dime range. So 1 tick off the low of a 10 cent range kind of spells it all out, doesn't it? Let's take a look at cotton. Folks, this was getting, I was afraid of that. 68.57 last. We fell out of bed in July cotton. 240 points lower there. 68.57 is last. We're only 7 points off the low of the day there. Dees, that's down 198 points to 70.16, and I'm worried about putting a 6 handle in front of that one because we're only a tick off the low of the day there. All right, let's get started with our guest analyst for the week, and that would be batting leadoff, Mr. Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions. He's the president down there. Brian, Springfield, Missouri is where you hail from. Did you get any precipitation over the weekend? What's going on down there?
Yeah, good morning, Scott. Yeah, we did receive some moisture, a little bit of wind, but just keeps the grass growing super nice. The wheat harvest is continuing. A lot of the crop has really turned golden here in this state. So it's, most of it's soft red wheat. In our area, a little bit of hard red, but it's ready to be harvested and looks tremendous. As the futures market has been telling us that this is going to be a big winter wheat harvest. So a lot of the crop in Missouri that I saw this weekend is shoulder high, head high, and going to tassel probably later this week or early part of next week. So the crop looks really good. And you go a little farther north, we spend a little time in Des Moines area. It's not quite as good. It's a little further behind, of course. And there's some catching up to do as far as that crop. If you want to get that knee high by 4th of July, there's a little ways to go, but it does look like it's off to a pretty good start. So looks like a fairly wet week, Scott, especially in Minnesota, northern Iowa. Going to be very heavy rains this week, and as long as you're not flooded out, that's going to deter some of this heat that's coming in as well. A lot of forecasts talking about excessive amount of heat into the end of the month, but with we have enough moisture, we certainly can withstand that heat.
Yeah, right. Because you said that on Friday, I think, and somebody else came in from Minnesota and said that they didn't have any precip in the weather report, and they got some overnight, enough that they had their sump pump was running, right, and it wasn't even in the forecast. And you're right. If we get that heat, I guess it's okay. If we do have these pop-up rain showers that are kind of helping out, keeping things a little bit at bay, right?
Right, exactly. It's the summer. It's late June. It's July. It's going to be hot. These hybrids are bred to withstand some of that heat, and the key is if you have enough moisture to get the crop through it so it doesn't have a lot of stress. And it looks like we have enough subsoil in a lot of areas. Pop-up showers, as you mentioned, there was heavy rains across Minnesota overnight, much more than what they were expecting, of course. Crop progress comes out this afternoon. Trade is kind of expecting 3 to 4% drop, but you wouldn't know it by the overnight markets as soybeans are at the lowest level since early part of March. Corn down, wheat down. Wheat has been down. I think Minneapolis 12 out of the last 13 sessions, in Kansas City and Chicago 11 out of the last 13. So those markets are badly oversold, but it doesn't mean that we have to rally. You've seen the funds come back in after covering a lot of shorts, piling back into those short positions, and typically they don't cover them again until we get into the late third, early fourth quarter of the year.
All right, stay on that topic. Don't go anywhere. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more with Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions in Springfield, Missouri, right after this. All right, welcome back. This is where we do the old livestock, right? And we just have to remind ourselves we'll be closed on Friday because somehow these guys got it so they don't have to trade over the weekend or at night. All right, that's pretty good going. But whatever they did, we should probably see if they can get that done for the grains. Let's see how we closed out this live cattle market. We had a good day in live cattle on Friday, if I remember correctly. August was up $3.67 at the close to $183.17. Some pretty good going there, right, folks? And that's only about 42 cents off the high of the day, all right? So it's pretty strong. You go out to the D, so it was up $2.42 there to $187.70. So that was only 35 cents off the high there. That's live cattle. We move down to feeder cattle. What do they have in store for us? They had some great gains on Friday. August was up $4.50 to $261.97. And what I take away from that is we're 67 cents off the high of the day still, right? So we did have some more room to the upside. We were up over $5 at one point. Go out to the Nove, that's up $4.27 on Friday's close to $262.82. And then finally, let's take a look and see what lean hogs are doing. We'll get back to our guest analyst. Lean hogs, they were up as well, not by much, but we'll take it. August is up $1.85. 90 spot 45 was last there. We go out to the deferreds where we started to lose some ground. We didn't go negative on the day, but we definitely didn't have the gains we saw in the fronts. Deese was up 45 cents on the day to 71.05. Let's bring him back in, Mr. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. All right, Brian, anything jump out at you then when we talk about Friday's closes?
Well, yeah, Friday was a good day for the cattle market. Needless to say, big gains in the futures. The cash market jumped a couple dollars, about $5 higher on a dress basis. And we're going to open stronger again this morning, it looks like, by the screen. Feedlots are going to be asking higher money once again, trying to build off of last week's cash trade. The thing I think what we want to watch closely is the boxes and the movement of those boxes. They're getting more expensive. We've had a hard time moving box beef at these higher price levels. So cutouts were higher again on Friday. Should give packers enough margins to work with for a higher cash trade again this week. But as the week matures, we do have a cattle and feed report coming out on Friday. No trade on Wednesday because of the Juneteenth holiday. As the week matures, can we sustain this movement of the boxes, or do the cutouts start to fall and soften? And that's going to be a key indication where you need to be really getting active as a producer if you have cattle in the yard as far as doing any type of hedging. It's going to be kind of a key week, I think, a pivotal week.
I'm glad you brought that up, that we're not open on Wednesday. So typically, this would be a synthetic Thursday. Tomorrow is a synthetic Friday. And Wednesday is a synthetic Sunday before we get back to work here on Thursday. So that's what I'm looking at here.
I'm
so
lost
there you go.
I don't know what day of the week it is.
I'll bring it back to Tammy and hand it over. She doesn't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so